On what's new, we have positive news on yet another COVID vaccine showing tremendous results in phase 3 trials. When the vaccine may be ready for Ohioans.
If we continue at the rate we are going, our hospitals will be overwhelmed.
The leaders of 3 major healthcare systems right here in Northeast Ohio come together to ask Ohioans to help them control the spike in cases. And our new U series continues today, the surprising sugar alternative that's probably already in your pantry, and it could help you with your sweet tooth cravings.
Mr. Kringle very much expressed to us that he wanted to find a way to still be able to engage with families.
And COVID-19 doesn't have to stand between your kids and a visit to see jolly old St. Nick. We have tips to keep your kids safe while visiting Santa. What's new starts now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Well, it is another big number for reported COVID-19 cases here in Ohio. 7,268 cases confirmed within the last 24 hours. Another startling number is that Ohio is now averaging just more than 5,000 cases per day.
Now, the silver lining there, if there is one, our cases are down big from yesterday. But, Betsy, our other main data points, they all went up. Positivity rate ticking up just over 12% again. Hospitalization saw another big jump, giving us now 3,387 COVID-19 patients in Ohio hospitals. We were under 1,000 6 weeks ago. Deaths were up as well, 19 from yesterday, 20 in today's report. And that's the way we begin another week of What's New. Happy Victory Monday, Northeast Ohio. Thanks so much for spending time with us, along with Betsy Kling. I'm Jay Crawford.
And it was another Sunday with more Cleveland wind for the Browns. And I didn't say win, I said wind for the Browns. And yes, yesterday it was hail and not grapple. Very exciting things in the weather front on the football game.
The wind was something, and we'll talk about that throughout the program. On the heels, though, of our rising cases, and in particular our hospitalization count climbing, the president and CEOs of the Cleveland Clinic, Metro Health, and University Hospitals came together today for a very rare joint news conference. They did so in order to urge everyone to take this pandemic seriously. They are very concerned about their caregivers, and the numbers show why. 800 caregivers at the Cleveland Clinic out sick today. University hospitals, 200 staff members sidelined, and Metro Health, 60 workers out sick. The leaders of the healthcare providers say they're not getting sick from treating patients, but from community spread, which is why they're asking for all of us to do our part in protecting them.
If we have many of our staff out because of exposure, while there's a large influx of COVID patients, we will not be able to provide the best care to everyone who needs it. So I'm asking you, everyone in the community, to be even more vigilant about washing hands, watching your distance, and wearing a mask.
It's all sound advice. We've heard it many times. They're asking us to take it more seriously now than ever. Between the hospitals, they're seeing between 25 to 60 new patients on a daily basis. They all said they currently have enough equipment to care for all COVID-19 patients.
Now on your feed at 5, we have 3 things you need to know today about the virus. According to the Columbus Dispatch, Governor DeWine is exploring a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. statewide curfew on many businesses. DeWine has discussed this with some business groups already, but as you can imagine, he is receiving pushback. Meanwhile, Ohio's health director signed an order limiting mass gatherings. This is something that the governor talked about in his big talk last week. Anyone attending an event at a banquet hall must be seated at all times, and that means if you're at a wedding, there's no dancing. Buffets and self-serve bars are banned, and masks must be worn at all times, and there can't be more than 10 people at a table, and all those people at the table should be from the same house. This order goes into effect on Tuesday. And major progress on the vaccine front. This is the good side of all of this. Moderna says that its vaccine is 94.5% effective at preventing COVID-19. Our senior health correspondent, Monica Robbins, joins us now. And Monica, what do you know about about this new development. I think anytime something new rolls out, it's going to be good news for everybody, right?
Oh, Bets, there's a lot of happy scientists out there right now. Of course, this just makes that light at the end of the tunnel a little bit brighter, but also these vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna are using an innovative delivery system that has never been approved by the FDA before. So having them both have such positive results like this is really a big deal. Let me give you a quickie science lesson. Both use messenger RNA or mRNA, which is essentially the blueprint of DNA, which can't leave the nucleus of a cell. So messenger RNA goes out and does the work to get your body to build proteins, which in this case causes your immune system to boost up and fight COVID. It's really revolutionary.
You told me when I was a graduate student that someone would make a vaccine out of messenger RNA. I would have laughed uncontrollably. I was really excited last Monday about the Pfizer results, but I'm really, really excited today about the Moderna results because the two trials are using not identical, but similar types of approaches for vaccination, and both of them achieved essentially the same results in this very early look at their phase 3 trial.
So Pfizer plans to turn in its 2 months of safety data to the FDA next week. Moderna isn't far behind, and if the FDA signs off, the next step, we can expect emergency use authorization by early December and then vaccine rollout by the end of the year. However, both of these vaccines are 2 doses, so that means the initial doses will only be available to about 10% of the population, which is why it's going to healthcare workers first. And as these cases rise, we need them healthy now more than ever, Bets.
Yeah, we definitely do. All right, what about side effects, Monica?
Yeah, that's what everybody wants to know. Well, what's important here is that neither trial reported any serious adverse effects. That's key. Most people complained about arm pain at the injection site. Some had fever and flu-like symptoms. Some had aches and pains, which are pretty common with flu shots and other vaccines as well. But once it's available to more people, we may learn of any other potential side effects then. But so far, everybody in the trial who has suffered some kind of aches and pains and whatnot, says it's usually gone in 2 to 3 days.
So a lot like the flu shot itself, too. All right, Monica, thank you so much. And coming up at 5:30, we're going to be talking to NBC science correspondent Dr. Joseph Fair. Go a little bit more in depth on this vaccine. Jay.
Betsy, switching gears now, lots of us spent time today cleaning up after those powerful storms blew through Northeast Ohio yesterday, just as we were getting ready to watch the Browns game. With them, we saw hail and hurricane-force winds. They brought down a lot of trees and power poles, damaging property around the region. Brandon Simmons has been covering that side of the story all day, and he joins us now for more live. Brandon, what do you know?
Hey, how are you, Jay? I can tell you one thing. Personally speaking, the storms that came through yesterday, that had some of the worst wind that I've heard or seen in many years. In fact, as you can see, I have some minor cleanup to do in my own backyard. This is an all-metal gazebo, about 750 pounds or so. You can see it was no match for the wind that we got yesterday. It's going to take a few people to come help me to flip that back right side up. But again, that's just minor. But there are similar stories all over Northeast Ohio that we're dealing with. I know mainly we're seeing trees that were down in areas all over. We have damaged property. We know the roof, a portion of it blew off of Valley Forge High School in Parma. But this is one story I want to tell you about. 2 people were riding in a car in Painesville when a tree fell right on top of them. These pictures, courtesy the Lake County Sheriff's Department. Now, those 2 people, they suffered serious injuries, but fortunately, they escaped with their lives. And now a similar story in Lakewood as well. High school junior Logan Kresovich typically works in a large shed out in his backyard. It looks similar to this one here. And he does his homework, some music production, things like that inside. Now, good news for him, he left to go grab lunch right before that storm rolled in. And while he was gone, a tree fell, destroying the entire structure. Now, Logan's father called him frantically, not sure if his son was still inside or not.
We seen a little of how the tree fell on our security system, and it was instant. I wouldn't have heard anything. So if it wasn't just pure luck, miracle, or whatever you want to call it, I would have been in there. It was a blessing that I went to get lunch or that I wasn't in there.
Now, wow, that's really just a very amazing story that he'll have to tell his friends there. Now, thousands of people are still affected by this storm, of course, with cleanup and power outages. First Energy's website shows some people may not have power restored until Wednesday night. And of course, we all know that's a long time for people to wait as temperatures get cooler. Now, typically, as you know, I try not to be part of the story. I never want to tell my own plight, but I had to show you guys this and just say I feel like I've got it the worst, but of course I don't, and I'm just happy nobody was hurt.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Let me know when you want me over to your house. I'll help you tip that thing back over. Incredible that the two people inside that car, it looked completely smashed by that massive tree. It's just incredible that anyone could have survived that. Amazing pictures. Brandon Simmons tonight live. Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate it. Well, now on to the Browns, and the glow from their 10-7 win over the Texans certainly didn't last very long. That's because this afternoon the team announced a second COVID-19 case has hit a rostered player. He is fullback Andy Jankovic, number 31. As a result, the Browns have shut down their facility in Berea. You'll remember they were playing yesterday without lineman Chris Hubbard, who came down with the coronavirus late last week. So, Betsy, this is where things now really start to get dicey because this is a second case. Could there be more? Entirely possible. But perhaps just as significant here when you're talking about the Browns, they're at 6-3. They're angling for a playoff spot. And now, because of this second case, they can't practice until the facility is reopened. That could take some time. They host the 3-5-1 Eagles Sunday at 1. Crazy. We have to keep our eye on this one.
Yeah, and we've heard about other teams that have had to deal with this. They've missed games, they've postponed, so it's a wait and see, unfortunately, on this one.
It is. Interesting that the second case was also an offensive player. Chris Hubbard, obviously an offensive lineman. So those offensive players in position groups are often very close, both on the field and in practice meetings, in meeting rooms. Now, yes, they are practicing social distancing and the masks and all of that, but you really have to keep an eye out now on the other offensive players to make sure that this thing doesn't turn into an outbreak. Next out, what's new? How to keep those passwords safe. Hackers are constantly trying to get them from us. Wait until you see what our expert uncovered about someone on our very own 3 News team staff.
And People's Choice, who won big at last night's awards show and how they pulled it off in the COVID era. That's coming up in your pop break. We're also going to take a look at the forecast, which is pretty chilly as the sun sets. There's one of our gorgeous sunsets. Look at that. It is so beautiful out there on that CSU cam. I'll tell you what, the clear skies will allow the temperatures to drop, but it's not going to stay clear for long. If you have somebody or you know somebody that still doesn't have power, I don't think we're going to have any problem with pipes freezing. It just may be a little bit chilly inside the house. We're going to have details on where we're going from here in the forecast. That's coming up next.
Welcome back to What's New. How many times have you heard someone say, change your passwords? You hear it a lot. You don't really do much about it, though. If you're like me, you hear it and you think, yeah, I'm going to get to that. I need to do that, but you never get around to it. Well, I want you to pay attention because after you see this next story, you might just take some action. Consumer investigator Danielle Serino shows us what information thieves are selling about her and Go anchor Dave Chudowski.
So now I'm an attacker. I'm on your computer.
Oh, dear God.
All it took was clicking on a link in this email, supposedly from a company I do business with, claiming there was a data breach.
Is that your password? Oops.
Oh, my goodness. So you not only have my webcam on, but you got my password?
It was actually sent from the computer security firm TrustedSec to show us just how easy it is for hackers to hijack your computer and steal everything on it.
That's a reminder not to click links.
And we have you on the camera right over there. We can listen to your audio. We can capture all what you're seeing on your screen.
They can even snap a picture of you.
You could use that to get a new driver's license.
You could, yeah, absolutely.
Or a passport.
Yeah, now with Face ID recognition, if the facial recognition isn't that strong, you could do all sorts of things with that.
Now you might say, I'm too smart to click on a link. But what if you're the unknowing victim of a data breach, which is likely given nearly 8 billion private records were exposed last year?
Here's that email address that kind of triggered things.
Go anchor Dave Chudowski agreed to play along, giving TrustedSec his personal email.
So we just kind of pulled a quick dossier.
Turns out he was involved in 6 data breaches, and all of his information was for sale on the dark web for $750. It's a place you can't access with regular search engines and is a hotbed for criminal activity.
We found out his date of birth, social security number. We have the full number. We're just blocking the last 4. We found some of his phone numbers here. His current address.
What is your reaction to that?
That's all I'm worth, $750.
He had a good sense of humor until he saw what else they found. Here are all his cars and license plate numbers, plus his addresses, which means someone can pull his mortgage information, including his signature.
So you now can copy his signature?
Absolutely. We could go ahead and get a home equity loan on your behalf without you knowing.
The signature I never would have thought about. But I'm so involved in social media that I almost feel like there's kind of no way out and you're kind of trapped.
Reuse your passwords, and you are, because once they end up for sale on a site, it's game over.
And that's what the criminals do, is they'll take that list as a source, and then they'll go ahead and try it programmatically against hundreds and hundreds of different websites.
That's why experts say when you're setting up an account and asked for a security question like where you went to school, lie, because it makes it harder for thieves to find the answer if your information's for sale or on your social media. You also want to set up multi-step authentication, which I explain on our website, WKYC.com. I also put more safety tips as well as how to find out if your data has been leaked. I'm Danielle Serino, 3 News.
Okay, Danielle, thanks for scaring the daylights out of me.
I am going to go and change the passwords this evening.
I'm changing every password I have. That's the problem, though. We have so many passwords on so many different sites. It's hard to keep track of all of them.
I know. And you got stuff for work and home, and then you get the kids involved, and then the shopping. I mean, it's intense, isn't it?
It's scary, and so was yesterday.
Speaking of intense.
Yesterday scared the heck out of a lot of folks.
Let's talk about the weather forecast, everybody. I'm going to get this desk out of the way. Get back over here.
Doing weather here today, huh?
I am.
Okay,
I have a cute dress on. Let's go with it.
Let's show that thing off. That is nice. I like that dress.
It's a rental. So I might
Rent
as well
the runway?
Yes, I might as well get my money out of it.
Very good.
That's what I'm doing. All right, there is a look at the temperatures. I showed you this before. It's important because we do have folks that are still without power at this point. And when you're without power, one of the things to think about is that the possibility of your pipes freezing. Don't worry about it. Temperatures should stay just above freezing as we go through the night tonight. Now, as far as the next few hours, it's going to be rather chilly out there. The temperatures will be flirting with 40 degrees. We do have some clouds. And you see we pick up some rain chances. That's because of a little disturbance that's coming our way. We're sitting in the 40s right now, but we still have a southwest wind. You may be thinking, wait, it's cold. We got to have a northwest wind. Not yet. That southwest wind, which is still rather gusty at this point, even though the gusts have come down through the afternoon, is all ahead of this. This is a clipper system, a little disturbance that's going to ride through. You can see there's snow, there's rain on it, but what's more important is that there is a northwest wind flow behind it. That will set us up for some lake effect later tonight and into the day tomorrow. So we are looking at the possibility of a little rain-snow mix tonight, and then some snow mix, meaning more snow than rain, as we go through the day tomorrow, but we're not looking for a lot in the way of accumulations. Here's a look at your National Designer hour-by-hour forecast. 8 p.m. temps still in the 30s, and as I mentioned, we do have that chance of a little rain-snow mix coming in as we head through the overnight hours. That will then change. Could you see the wind shift? Instead of everything moving from west to east, it comes northwest to southeast, and that will help to drive our temperatures down toward the freezing mark, but it's also going to kick off a little bit of lake snow mix at times across the area. Again, you may run into some snow showers that are a little heavier than others. It all depends on how it sets up, but for right now, we're not expecting squalls or anything that's really going to put a damper on your day. By midday, the temperatures are not out of the 30s. We might make it to 40 degrees. I'm going to be a little optimistic with some peaks of sun in there, but the wind is still going to be howling, and that means we will have wind chills that are in the 20s through the afternoon. There's a look at the snow. Don't get excited about it. If we get any accumulation, it'll be slushy and patchy and not very pretty. Northwest winds 20 to 25, 5 to 8 footers with a small craft advisory for tomorrow. Universal Windows direct forecast. Look at, we're in the 40s the next couple days. Again, tomorrow maybe 40, low 40s on Wednesday, but then right back to our seasonable temperatures in the upper 50s as we head through the rest of the week and into the weekend. Our next rain chances, by the way, Jay, also arriving as we get into the weekend.
Of course. Well, just get us to Thursday. I don't like Tuesday and Wednesday at all. That's too cold for me. All right, game shows for 800. Who some fans are supporting to become the next host of Jeopardy, and that person's very humble reply. And the best game of peekaboo you will ever see. It's worth the watch. It made me laugh. I hope it makes you laugh too.
The people have chosen. Prince Harry makes an appearance, kind of, And one name being floated to fill Alex Trebek's Jeopardy role is a throwback for many Gen Xers. Time now for Kiara Cotton's Pop Break.
Fans of the entertainment world had their voices heard last night during the 45th Annual People's Choice Awards hosted by Demi Lovato. More than 1 billion votes were cast, and the winners were crowned in front of a virtual audience due to COVID-19 restrictions. Jennifer Lopez took the crown for Icon of the Year, Tracee Ellis Ross took home the award for Fashion Icon, and Ellen DeGeneres took home the award for Best Daytime Talk Show, despite battling claims of a toxic workplace environment earlier this year. Hopefully next year, fans will be able to join in on the fun. While rumors of drama among the royal family continue to swirl, Prince Harry is focusing on his friends. The Duke of Sussex made a surprise appearance on the UK's version of Dancing with the Stars over the weekend. Prince Harry called in via Zoom in support of his friend JJ Chalmers, a Royal Marines veteran. The call marked Harry's first public appearance in the UK since he and his wife Meghan Markle stepped down as senior members of the royal family earlier this year. From Reading Rainbow to Jeopardy! Thousands of fans have signed a petition calling for Reading Rainbow's LeVar Burton to be Jeopardy's next host. The petition comes after a longtime host, Alex Trebek, passed away last week after a battle with pancreatic cancer. Over the weekend, LeVar took to Twitter thanking fans for their support, saying, "Even if nothing comes from it, I can't tell how much I appreciate all y'all's love and support." While flattered by the move from fans, Burton also expressed his condolences to the Trebek family and his millions of fans as they mourn the loss of an irreplaceable legend. So far, the petition for LeVar has nearly 90,000 signatures. While the wounds of losing Alex Trebek are still fresh, whomever is selected to replace him will definitely have large shoes to fill. Back to you guys.
I like him as a choice. I think that's a great idea. Well, you probably remember these videos of dog owners that would hold up their blanket and then drop it and run, and their dog would sit there and say, "What in the world just happened to my owner?" I love those videos. They're so good. But Betsy, we found one this morning, and it made me laugh. A babysitter tried this trick on the little boy she was watching. Watch this. So he's thinking about it, and now he's going to go try to investigate, and watch what happens when he finally finds her. That is absolutely priceless.
That is good.
That scream,
right?
Is just makes you laugh. I love when he gets to the end there and he's thinking about it. Where did she go?
I love messing around with little kids. Old. It's so fun to warp their little minds.
I do too. They're so easy, but they're so fun. They really are.
Definitely. Well, you know, today is Victory Monday for the Browns, and a lot of people are asking, do we have a vaccine victory as Moderna's new vaccine is coming out? We're going to go in depth a little bit more to talk about what makes this new vaccine from Moderna a little bit different, a little bit special.
Yeah, a little easier too to distribute. Also, we're going to play a little game of eat this, not that. And that's big right now. We're all trying to eat more healthy. We're going to give you a potential substitute for sugar. Betsy's not sure her kids will buy in on this.
I'm telling you, that ain't going to happen.
But I think it's a great idea. We'll tell you what it is coming up next on What's New.
You'll be surprised. And staying safe and festive, how you can still enjoy this holiday season amid all the COVID-19 precautions. We'll be right back.
Hi. Yes, hear you fine. Okay.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So on time is what on Sunday nights?
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to our little What's New show. Jay Crawford, Betsy Kling joining you this afternoon. And I'll tell you what, I think a lot of folks are breathing a sigh of relief now that those crazy winds from yesterday have passed by. Things settling down a little bit, but it's starting to really feel like November now.
Yeah, I said watching that wind blow through, this is what Old Man Winter looks like when he gets to the party. I mean, it really, just like that, it felt like we were at winter. It was weird, too. At the game, Progressive Field, First Energy Stadium.
The other one.
They're starting the national anthem.
Oh, I was so mad.
And Betsy, literally, like on cue, it turned horrible.
I tweeted out, if you are in the stands at the stadium, get to shelter.
Take cover, yeah.
Because it was so bad. And I was here, I was working yesterday, and I couldn't believe that they were doing the national anthem. I was like, get these people out of here.
They went through it, too. And then the 30-minute delay, and most importantly, the win.
Right.
They're 6-3 now. Happy Victory Monday. Let's get the second half of What's New started.
And there are some new developments to talk about in the race for the coronavirus vaccine. And everybody's talking about this today. Moderna Therapeutics came out this morning and said they are in their third phase. Those are the human trials, and believes that the vaccine they have working is 94.5% effective.
That's pretty good. And this is giving so many people hope that there is finally a light at the end of this horrible tunnel that we have been living in throughout 2020. Dr. Joseph Fair is an NBC News science contributor. He joins us now live from Louisiana. Dr. Fair, thank you so much for joining us. So tell our audience, if you would, how this Moderna vaccine compares to the Pfizer vaccine that we were hearing so much about last week.
Two major differences. There's 4.5%, kind of more efficacy with this vaccine, which anything above 90% is great. So, taking the Pfizer vaccine would be just as good as taking the Moderna vaccine, even though there's that 4.5%. But the bigger difference is going to be in how they're stored. The Pfizer vaccine requires, ultra cold storage, whereas the Moderna vaccine does not require that. That requires entirely different supply chains and production, kind of manufacturing processes. But the reality is we want both of these vaccines, and we want other successful vaccines to all hit the market because we want to vaccinate as many people as possible all around America and all around the globe, frankly, as fast as possible.
Well, I would have to assume, because of how precious these little vaccine vials are going to be for everybody, that the Moderna vaccine that doesn't require the super cold storage and that super careful handling, I would imagine that this could be the one that would be distributed the most then, as of right now.
You would presume that just based on, making it to rural America and areas that don't have, that are not necessarily close to central hubs. So it's going to be, most of America that is not major cities. That would be likely where you would see Moderna really thrive, even though they'll be used in major cities too, but they would really thrive in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So, Doctor, we have these two vaccines that are very close now to gaining approval. How do we go about choosing between the vaccines, and when might everyday Americans have access to these? Because we know that they're going to be distributed on an as-needed basis, and our healthcare workers are most likely to get the first batches.
Yeah. Yeah, to answer your question on, how will you choose? I don't necessarily think you'll have a choice. I think it will depend on, what vaccine is available where you are, as long as it has met FDA certifications. That might be the vaccine that you have access to, unless there's a certain medical reason that you can't take that vaccine for a certain reason, like, something that they have as an ingredient. Otherwise, you might not have a choice. Secondly, for your average American, when can they think about getting the shot in the arm? I would say it's probably going to be anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Just like any other product, these are going to require production, and that requires manufacturing plants. And when it comes to something that's going to go inside a human, particularly something that's, either living or in a liquid format, you have to be especially careful, and that requires a long time, and it's a very complicated process. So I would say for your average American, 6 to 12 months, healthcare workers, elderly, and most at risk, probably sooner than that.
All right. Well, that certainly is the hope. I think the 6 to 12 months kind of surprised some of us here in the studio, because we've been hearing perhaps distribution still this year. The hope was early next year, but 6 to 12 months is what we'll have to look forward to. Dr. Fair, thank you very much.
Well, distribution. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
No, go ahead, please.
Absolutely. I was going to say, distribution just means they're starting distribution. It doesn't mean everybody gets it in the mail on Monday. So, it's really going to take a long time to produce a lot of it. And so I don't want to give false expectations to Americans to think, just because they're starting to produce it this year, that they're going to have it by January.
That's good. And I got to tell you, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I'm thrilled to hear you say it's coming in the arm and not anywhere else, because I was concerned that could be an issue too. So arm injection it is. Sounds great. Well, Dr. Fair, thank you so much. And of course, we'll be following this on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt coming up at 6:30.
Yeah, we don't have to sit on our arm. It's a lot easier. All right, it is 5 minutes past the bottom of the hour. Time to check in with Russ Mitchell for some of the other stories topping headlines. Russ, happy Monday to you. And thanks to this vaccine, I guess it's finally safe to look at our 401ks again.
Not a bad day. The markets responded today with a pretty big thumbs up. Stocks rallied, adding to the S&P 500's record high and erasing the last of the losses from the COVID pandemic. The Dow ended up 471 points to hit a record close of 29,950. This comes a week after a similar rally followed Pfizer's promising vaccine news. President-elect Joe Biden spoke this afternoon about his plans for the economy, pledging his administration will work to pump millions into expanding manufacturing and other businesses. He also urged outgoing President Trump to work with the Biden transition team for a coordinated response to the pandemic. The president-elect said failure to do so is putting more lives at risk. And we have some good news about the 2020 Olympics. The president of the International Olympic Committee said today he believes the games can be held safely next summer in Tokyo. A task force is also working on ways to keep athletes and potential spectators safe. NBC giving a big sigh of relief today. They lost a lot of money this year not having the Olympics. I'm sure they're counting that cash for next summer.
Yeah, they really did. Perhaps because the added anticipation of missing it for a year, there could be even more interest this coming summer on the Summer Olympics. Russ, thank you very much. We'll see you 23 minutes from now with What Matters Most at 6.
See ya.
All right. Well, there's a growing focus on the field of culinary medicine, which highlights the connections between what we eat and how we feel. And this week in our New You series, Jason Fraser is sharing some tips from inside the Cleveland Clinic's teaching kitchen, including some easy recipe swaps that show you why you should love the food that loves you back.
I love cooking. Growing up, the kitchen was where I had some of my best memories, but I admit some of the ingredients we used weren't always the most healthy.
Anytime you eat anything, right? You either feed disease or fight disease.
Meet Jim Perko. He is the executive chef for the Cleveland Clinic Center for Integrative and Lifestyle Medicine. He has spent years studying the connection between what we eat and how we feel.
Think of all the foods that are indigenous to all the cultures of the world. That's what they were raised on. That's what they grew up. So they tend to eat those foods because they're part of traditions.
Each week, Jim meets with his clients to show them how to eat better and create some new traditions. His philosophy, healthy food doesn't always have to taste bad. It can actually taste pretty good.
Those are all techniques
that transcend any diet.
Viewers Kim, Katie, and I met one-on-one with him. We learned everything from knife skills to smart swaps. His first piece of advice was to limit the amount of sugar we cook with. An easy alternative, using a reduction sauce made from raisins.
When you could sweeten something with raisins, you got protein, you got antioxidants, and you got fiber that are in raisins, but you got the sugar attached.
If you're a fan of mac and cheese, Jim says it can be healthy. I admit I was first skeptical, but Jim promised his mac and cheeseless recipe was good.
There's no cheese in this. Oh, wow. This is really good.
So what's the secret? Cashews, sweet potatoes, and almond milk, plus a little hot sauce and spices. Extra points for whole wheat pasta. It takes about 40 minutes to make, and according to Jim, it has 11 grams of fiber and 106 milligrams of magnesium. If you just can't give up cookies, definitely try the chocolate chunk and nut chewies. They're chock full of nuts, oats, and even some dark chocolate. Mix it all up, and 13 minutes later, your entire room will be smelling like cookie heaven. But this treat has about 2 grams of protein and fiber. If you're a big fan of rice, try swapping it out with some quinoa. Jim's quick and easy quinoa, black bean, arugula, and spinach ragu was my favorite of the day. Combine tomato sauce with veggies, greens, beans, and voila.
So if you can learn those techniques, how to make things sweet without sugar, moist without fat, savory without sodium, density without meat, all those things, right? It doesn't matter with diet. It transcends any diet, right? It's a technique, and we want you to find enjoyment in your food.
Wow, I need to hang out with Jim more. You're saying no on the raisins?
I don't know the raisins. I mean, raisins are good. They have their place.
Great.
I don't know if their place is in sugar's place. Oh, that's a hard one.
You know,
you got to try it.
Here's what I'm going to take away from that story, and I love the series. It's been great, but I think my takeaway is, and the thing that I'm going to focus on the rest of my life is what Jim just said in that piece. Everything we put into our body either feeds disease or fights disease.
Right.
And it's probably not too hard to figure out which one is active with whatever the food is that you're putting into your body. That's pretty valuable info.
I fed the disease today because I had tortilla chips for lunch. So it was a disease day for me. I'm sorry. That's probably not the best way to do it. I shouldn't make light of that. But, you know, if you want to see these recipes, and if you try them, please let us know how it turned out for you. We'd love to hear back from you. You can go to WKYC.com right now. Jason loved working with Chef Jim so much. He's bringing him back next week for some advice on ways to make your Thanksgiving dinner healthier.
Wow. I will be listening.
Yeah.
I love that advice.
Yes.
Feed disease or fight disease. Okay, what's new? Coming right back. Santa visits can still happen this fall. I just need to follow safety guidelines, which we will run down for you, and what's new comes right back.
And red flag. Another event canceled as COVID-19 cases rise. When we could see this one back on track. It's one of the stories clicking in Cleveland today. We're also going to keep an eye out on that forecast. We made it all the way to 46 degrees today as the sun sets. That's a good one.
Look at that.
Snapshot. Like, we get some beautiful sunsets here. I think people discount good old Cleveland from time to time.
Don't.
Things are going to be looking brighter for us in the days ahead. I do have that information coming up. As I said, we made it to 46. We won't make it there tomorrow.
Yikes.
I'll tell you about that forecast straight ahead.
Per capita. Hello. I was just talking about volunteer hours per capita and Ohio's rankings. Very. Do you want to wait till my shot or do you want to check my shot now? In the next break? Okay. Okay, cool.
Well, yesterday's strong winds caused a lot of widespread damage. We have video in from Naughty Vine Winery in Portage Lakes. The wind caused the outdoor wine bubbles to blow away. Look at this. Boop. There they go. They've ordered new ones, thankfully, but due to the spike in COVID-19 cases, the winery is closing now through December. That's so unfortunate. So many businesses are struggling right now anyway. They're trying to get crafty with, making things socially distant and working with everybody, and then the weather has to come in and mess it all up. I know, weather does that for us, but hopefully things are going to turn around. We can get some nice time back out in the igloos. Next 12 hours for us, things are changing. We do have clouds that are coming in. We will pick up rain and then eventually a rain-snow mix as we get into the early morning. Temperatures currently in Northeast Ohio are in the low to mid 40s. We have a southwest wind, still a little breezy out there, but tomorrow it's the northwest wind that will arrive, and it's arriving on the backside of this low, a little clipper system. It's been producing some rain and snow to our north already in Wisconsin and Michigan. That slides through tonight. So you can see the rain is already starting to get into northern portions of Indiana, and that again will be coming our way later tonight. And then as the cool air on the backside comes in, it's going to come across the lake, and we end up getting a little bit of lake effect going on. There's a little bit closer view for you of the rain and snow. You can see that the predominantly snow portion of the storm is north of us, so we don't really have to worry about that part initially. But your National Design hour-by-hour forecast shows you that we're going to stay dry through 8 o'clock. It's not until later evening, 11, 12 o'clock, that disturbance begins to drop in here. Once it goes by, the winds switch. We get that northwest wind going. You can see the temperatures are in the mid-30s, but we have lake effect snow showers that are going to be coming down. At times, this could be an interesting part of your visibility for the day tomorrow. I don't think we're going to end up getting a lot of snow out of this, even in primary lake effect snow territory. Winds will still be rather brisk out of the northwest, 15 to 20 through the day tomorrow, still gusty along the lakeshore. But you see there, the temperatures, they didn't make it out of the 30s, even toward 40 degrees. I think we're going to kiss 40, and then that's going to be about it. And that 40 could come in the early morning. There's a look at the snow potential. Not a lot, maybe a slushy inch in some locations, and it'll be patchy at that. Universal Windows Direct forecast, we're in the low 40s for the next couple of days. Then things change right back into where we typically would think of things this mid-November time of year. Clouds on the increase Thursday, Friday. Rain chances returning Saturday, Sunday. Jay, it looks like the Browns game. Another one could get interesting.
No. Well, as long as we don't get that slushy inch on Sunday, we're okay.
We're good.
That sounds gross to me.
A slushy inch? That's just...
Because it's mixed with the road dirt, and then you get it on your feet, you bring it in the house. It's just disgusting. Okay. We move on. As we head into the holiday seasons, 2020 is all about enjoying the season while, of course, remaining safe and healthy. So for the next few days, Will Ewick is our guy. He has a guide on how to be festive, but how to do it safely. And he's kicking it off with the big guy himself, jolly old St. Nick.
In the midst of a pandemic where mask wearing and social distancing have become standard, it's natural to wonder how kids sitting on Santa's lap to whisper their wishes into his ear could be possible.
Well, Santa, is an experience that I think is, a time-honored treasure.
Santa will be making his yearly stop at Wolf Cabin during the Wild Winter Lights at the zoo. Kids can see him during a walkthrough of the lights or from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays between Thanksgiving and Christmas. However, kids should be ready to speak up when conveying their Christmas wishes.
But there'll still be a chance to have your photograph taken with Santa in a responsible, socially distant way. Ho, ho, ho!
At Cabela's, you'll need a reservation and an on-site temperature check to see jolly old St. Nick, who'll be perched on his chair in Santa's Wonderland behind a glare-free barrier that will separate him from families. The barrier and other surfaces will be cleaned and sanitized between each visit by a team of elves.
Mr. Kringle very much expressed to us that he wanted to find a way to still be able to engage with families and with the children.
If the idea of venturing out to see Mr. Kringle in person isn't quite on your wish list this year, places like Kringle's Inventionasium experience are scheduling virtual visits, allowing you and your child to zoom to the North Pole from the comfort of your home.
Folks can go online and have a personalized letter sent right to their children, stamped from the official North Post and delivered right to the home.
Meanwhile, malls across Northeast Ohio, like South Park, Beechwood, and Great Northern, are offering a similar mix of options from socially distanced photos to virtual visits. And even if they're not required, reservations are strongly encouraged. While none of these are what it was like last year, nothing this year has been. Still, ultimately, kids are getting one-on-one time with the big guy. And spoiler alert, every kid deserves to be on the nice list with the year they've had. Will Ewick, 3 News.
Boy, truer words never spoken. Will, thanks. We have a list of where you can see Santa Claus and how you can do it as well. It's our Santa Guide. It's on WKYC.com. Tomorrow, our Happy and Healthy Holiday Guide series continues on what's new with a look at what Christmas tree farms are doing and where you can see lights this holiday season.
Lots of picture taking this year with the masks, so everybody years from now will know.
Yeah.
No, that must have been 2020.
Yeah,
you got to get
exactly
the pictures
right.
like that just so your kids can pass it on down the road eventually. All right, well, Ohioans, we know we're good people, but now the rest of the country will know too. How the Buckeye State ranked in a study about giving back to others.
Hey, Al.
Cool. Here's news that'll make you smile. In a new Wallet Hub survey, Ohio ranks 5th among the most charitable states. It's my prompter. Is it gone? Cool. Why does this look dark? Okay. Good eye. I didn't even see that. Yes. Okay.
Well, the pandemic has really hurt some of this year's time-honored traditions, and some 2021 events are starting to plan ahead. That's just a little of what's clicking in Cleveland today. We bring in digital anchor Stephanie Haney, and you've been watching the feeds today. What's the latest?
Well, Betsy, we start off with an update on the 2021 Cleveland Auto Show. It will not be happening in the spring this year. That's because of Ohio's restrictions on mass gatherings. The people in charge are still looking at when and where to do it safely. Now, they hope to do it at what used to be the IX Center, but they've also said they could hold it in the convention center downtown if needed. Now, here's some news to make you smile. In a new survey from Wallet Hub, Ohio ranks as the top 5 most charitable state in the country for 2020. You can see how every state ranks on WKYC.com. Here are the top 5. In first place is Utah, followed by Minnesota in second place, Maryland in third place, Oregon in fourth, and then Ohio in fifth place. Now, Ohio came in third for percent of people collecting or passing out food, 22nd for volunteer rate, and also 22nd for volunteer hours per capita. All right, it's not every day that you get the game clincher by not getting the touchdown, but that's what Nick Chubb did on Sunday, and here's what people are saying about it. With a video of him stepping out of bounds, NFL Update tweeted, "Nick Chubb doesn't care about your fantasy football team." I think they were talking specifically about my fantasy football team there. MPS from CLE was happy with it, though. He said, "At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is a W. That's a real win, not a fantasy win, to be clear, and that Chubb is a smart football player, and both he and Kareem Hunt rushed for over 100 yards. Jay, I get it. If the Texans had gotten the ball back, that would have been a very 2020 and a very Browns thing for them to win the game, so thank you for that victory Monday, Chubb. We appreciate it."
Yeah, as Coach Stefanski said after the game, we're looking for tough, smart dudes, and he's one of them. Thank you very much, Steph. Still ahead on What's New, she was born at just 26 weeks. She had some overcoming to do. Now, how several groups came together to help her live out her dream job for a day.
Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hey, Al, testing 1, 2. Another day of jarring coronavirus numbers in Ohio. Thank you.
Mic check, Monica. Why are they putting Stephanie so late?
Check 1, 2, 3, Brandon's mic. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, Brandon's mic. From right here, this is what it'll sound like.
We wrap with our Show Us Something Good. Comes from Lorain County. A Special Wish Cleveland chapter made one little girl's dream come true. Her name's Aria Keaton. She got to be a model for a day. She was born, Betsy, at 26 weeks. She weighed just 12.7 ounces. She's nonverbal and wheelchair bound, but this weekend she got to live her dream job as a model. And I'll say she's one beautiful model.
She may be nonverbal, but she said a lot in these pictures.
Really did. We're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. We're back tomorrow at 5.